going to start this video by telling you that it is the middle of summer and I live in Texas, so that sound you're hearing in the background is my air conditioner because I live in the cheapest apartment I could find, and they've got some of those old school air conditioners that make a lot of noise. So yeah, like I mentioned before, I live in Texas, it's the middle of summer. So every now and then it gets hot outside and you're going to be hearing that sound in the background, and you really have no choice but to deal with it. Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle, and this is another edition of WNBA Weekly. This week featured two games in the association. The first one was on Wednesday. You had Indiana at New York, and the day started with the surprising news that Katie Douglas was missing the game due to back problems. And despite this, the Fever had a 22-8 lead after the first quarter, and all of those points were scored by Catchings and Zellous. But the Liberty were able to fight back and once again force overtime, where they dominated, and behind a team-high 21 points from Essence Carson, the Liberty won another game, pushing their season record to 2-1. A little bit of injury news from this game. Obviously, one, you got Katie Douglas, who was listed on the official report as a sore back. I can't find too much information regarding her missing any major time. From what I've read, she simply woke up that morning and something didn't feel right. So in the end, the decision was made that she didn't need to play this game. And also in that game, Plenette Pierson went down after getting hit in the face on a drive and did not return. I have no news to tell you, so that might mean she's perfectly fine and won't miss any time. But if you would feel more comfortable doing some digging on your own to see if you can find out more, I'd be perfectly okay with that. On Thursday, you had Phoenix at Minnesota. Sammy P was benched in favor of Charde Houston getting the start next to Turasi, and I'd be lying if I said I was expecting it. But I wasn't really too shocked to see, because Sammy P has been a bit ineffective at the start of the season. She ended up playing 11 minutes in the game and had a team-high 5 assists, but most of that was in garbage time when the game was completely out of control. Then again, technically the Lynx were in control of the game the entire time if you really think about it. Turasi led the Mercury with 21 points, while Griner added 18 points and 7 assists. Griner didn't have as much foul trouble as she usually does, but she did lead the team in turnovers today. So growing pains still. That's going to be happening for a while. There's always going to be something to pick on with her. At least for most of this year, you can expect that. But for Minnesota, they played a near-perfect game. They had 4 players who scored in double digits, led by Maya Moore, who scored 22 points. Lindsey Whalen had a team-high and game-high 10 assists. Rebekkah Brunson had a team-high and game-high 10 rebounds. And the Lynx, they stay undefeated, while the Mercury, they stay winless. Of course, the season is still very young. Milestone news, for those of you who actually pay attention to that shit. This week I'm not going to do it just because there are actually a lot of games to discuss. Speaking of those games, if this is your first time seeing this, then ignore everything I'm about to say. But if you've seen some of my other WNBA Weeklies, I just wanted to tell you that instead of trying to predict who will win the game, from now on I'm just going to do a preview where I discuss my opinions about the upcoming matchup. There are 9 games being played this weekend. The majority of them, once again, will not be broadcast nationally, so check your local listings to see where you can watch them on TV or hear them on the radio, or you can always watch them every game on WNBA Live Access. But there is actually one game on Saturday afternoon that is being broadcast all over America. We'll get to that in a moment. First, we'll start with Friday. The first game is Washington at Connecticut. Both of these teams have struggled getting started in this young season and are both looking to get on a good winning streak. This game will begin at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my preview for this game, Tina Charles has had a double-double every single game this season. I think it's just a matter of time before they finally hit their stride. And whether or not that happens in this game, it's yet to be determined. But, against Washington, I wouldn't be too shocked to see it happen. The second game is New York at Atlanta. After 2 exciting overtime victories, the Liberty go into Atlanta looking to hand the Dream their first loss of the season. This game begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My preview is that McCautry has been giving MVP performances all season, and Little has made a terrific Robin to her Batman. But we all know that at some point in time their winning streak will end, and the way they've played, the Liberty seem like they could conceivably be the team to end it. And then next we have Chicago at San Antonio. The Chicago Sky take their undefeated record into San Antonio to face the depleted Silver Stars, who look to give another team their first loss of the season. This game tips off at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my preview for this one is that the Sky have a packed roster. Delle Donne is impossible to match up against. It seems like the Stars don't stand a chance. However, I basically said the same thing when they played Los Angeles, and they managed to pull the upset. I mean, that's why you play the game, because anything could happen. Still, though, I confidently say I fairly believe the Sky should win this one. And then you have Tulsa at Seattle. Seattle has their first win of the season, and now Tulsa looks to get theirs. This game begins at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my preview for this game is that Tulsa has shown some flashes of greatness. I've seen some exciting performances from the individuals, but they have not come together as a team yet. Despite their missing their superstars and being outmatched, the Storm play a good team game, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them win. This is one of those games where you really just kind of have to watch it and see. I feel like it could go either way. On Saturday, you got Phoenix at Indiana. The number 1 overall pick looks to get her first win in the WNBA against the defending champions, who are currently at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. This game will be broadcast nationally on ABC at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my preview for this game is that a month ago, I would have considered this to be a finals preview. Right now, it's 2 teams at the bottom of the league struggling to find themselves. The Fever are dealing with some injuries, while the Mercury are working on building that chemistry, both of these teams are still just trying to get everything right. And while it is definitely important to both of these teams to try to get a win and try to get their records, try to improve their records, it appears it'll be more likely, both of these teams still kind of shaking off a little rust and trying to find their rhythm. Next, you've got Minnesota at Washington. Maya Moore and the Lynx head to Washington to face Ivory Latta and the Mystics. This game begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and my preview is that Ivory Latta has become a player worth paying attention to, and Washington has been entertaining to watch so far this season. But Minnesota is still a very scary team, and I'd be surprised if this was even a close contest. Next, you've got Tulsa at Los Angeles. Skylar and Glory head to LA to face Candace and Nneka as the Shock are looking to climb out of the bottom of the league. This game begins at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and my preview is that the Shock are traveling to LA the night after playing in Seattle. So for some reason, I highly doubt their ability to overcome the strong presence of Candace Parker. On Sunday, you've got 2 games that basically have the exact same story. You've got Atlanta at New York and San Antonio at Chicago. And with both of these games, I pretty much have the exact same forecast. 2 days later, these teams meet again, but the only difference is they change venues. The first game, the Atlanta at New York, that begins at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. San Antonio at Chicago begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But my preview for both of them, once again, it's exactly the same. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what adjustments these teams will make with only a day between the meetings. And the difference in the venue, is that going to have any real effect? So that's it for this episode. Tune in on Monday for another edition of WNBA Weekly, and I will make an announcement on that episode, so be sure to pay a little bit of attention to that. And until then, I'm your host, Nathan Lau. This has been the Fan Perspective. There's an exciting weekend ahead to look forward to. I hope you get the chance to check out that game on Saturday, and I hope you get the chance to watch or listen to your local team. So far, it is really shaping up to be a pretty good season. A lot of unexpected things are happening. Some of them good. Most of them good.